Bigfoot, Dogman, Jersey Devil, and others. Are they real? Misidentifications? Or the most cleverly disregarded reality of all time? Come into the cabin and sit down and let's try to find out together. Hey guys, welcome back to the cabin. I'm Robby. This is Johnny and Norman.
Hey.
Hey, Johnny. Hey, Rob.
Hey Norman, how you guys doing?
Awesome. Looking forward to this new project we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we got something now, we're not stuck on just Bigfoot on this channel or just Dogman or just anything else. We want to look into everything. So the guys and I got together and we decided, at first we thought about a top 5, but since there's 3 of us, and for time's sake, we got together and decided to put together our top 3 cryptids and a little bit about why they are where they are. So we're going to discuss each of our top 3 favorite cryptids to deal with tonight. A little fun little episode.
I think it'll be fun.
Yep. Oh. So, Johnny, we're going to start with you. What's your number 3?
I think that'd be the Gugway.
The Gugway. Cool. And for those of you who don't know what a Gugway is, you need to read some of DA's books and you'll know exactly what a Gugway is.
Or you can be lazy and just look up type 3.
True, but we want DA's books to get out there because
his are much better than just reading
Wikipedia
about type 3.
Exactly. Very, very, very good books. If you want to know what a Gugway is, read The Lakeview Man by D.A. Roberts. Awesome book. It's like crack for action-loving people.
Very well-written book.
Yes. D.A. is a very, very good author. Very good friend of mine. So he's got 26 books in all and probably that many more projects on the line right now. He's got the Lakeview Man series, the Wild Hunt series. He's got the Ragnarok series,
the Apex Predator
series, and Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and the Wild Hunt series all go together. All come in together. So, a little side note there. But if y'all want to know what a Gugway is, pick up the Lakeview Man. It's a good,
very good book to start the series off. The other book would be Apex
Predator, Hunter's Moon. That is the start of the Apex Predator series.
Those two go side by side, I would say.
Yeah. Well, it's probably best to read Apex Predator, Hunter's Moon first. There's actually a link you can look up DA verse, and it gives you a timeline if you want to read them in chronological order. The best way to read them like that way. That's kind of how I started out with it. But really, honestly, I mean, if you pick up any one of the books in those series and start those first, and you read that series first before you read the other, you're going to get some kind of hindsight in it. But it's just going to make you want to go back and read those other series. So
definitely, because the tie-ins and the characters are extremely well written. And to me, when I read them, it's like being there. It's how good his writing is.
So, Johnny, why is Gugway your number 3?
I heard about him for years, and after explaining to you my first encounter as a youth, early teens, mid-teens, I had an encounter in North Florida, which I want to get with Anthony on, because it's not too far down the road from him. Mm-hmm. But when I described it to you, you were like, yeah, not typical skunk ape behavior. That sounds more like a Gugway. So, well, I've just always been curious about them. The face eaters, I mean, what kind of name is that?
Yeah, it's I think Lakota is where that one came from.
Well,
and that roughly translates to face eater.
Well, we know how accurate the phrase Bigfoot is, and how accurate the phrase skunk ape is.
It's kind of scary that may be an accurate phrase.
That's an accurate phrase. I'm freaked out.
Yeah, scary thought.
Which is why I said something this morning to somebody about when they said 3 toes. I said, we don't need to talk about 3 toes. Those are the big scary guys that we don't want to deal with.
Definitely. If there's one, there's more.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Norman, what's your number 3?
Jersey Devil.
Jersey Devil.
The reason is because
Mama leads.
Everybody talks about Bigfoot and his cousins, okay? But you don't hear a lot about a flying cryptid often, with the exception of Mothman and the Thunderbird. Those are the only 3 flying cryptids that I can think of that I know of off the top of my head that are most popular. But the Jersey Devil's got to be the most popular because it's been around since the 17th century. With Mrs. Leeds' 13th child that she cursed to the devil and was born with horns, wings, and depending on which individual you talk to, it either has a wyvern or dragon's-like head, goat's head, or horse's head, or a kangaroo's head. So it's a fascinating creature because you got different witnesses describing it differently.
Right.
And it's located in one area, the south, in the
Pine Barrens.
Yes,
in
Pine
South
Barrens,
Jersey.
South Jersey.
So it's like a regional cryptid that it's just a fascination behind it, especially because it's been so well documented.
Yes, it has. That's honestly, besides Bigfoot, that's probably one of the most
Talked
about, widely known. They actually did a movie on the Jersey Devil. Lou Diamond Phillips was in it. You know, a little cheesy sci-fi made for.
I might have to look that up.
Yeah.
I like cheesy sometimes.
Yeah, a little B movie about the Jersey Devil, Lou Diamond Phillips. It's 2000s cheese, but I mean, if you like those B movies about creatures and cryptids and things like that, it's a good little watch. Look it up.
Back to your description about the head shape. Every one of those head shapes is an oblong, horse-shaped head.
Exactly.
Extended snout, different lighting, different details.
Big ears.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it just could be the whole thing with that's demonic in nature. It could be manifesting depending on what whoever's looking at it's fears or
Exactly.
Background,
Yeah.
raising. Bible being highly in the Bible for that area was very prevalent at the time. So a devil or devilish type look would be the standard. And then as people got to growing up and time progressing, people's observations changed because we have more information about things. Kangaroos, for example. I don't think everybody knew a lot about kangaroos back in the 17th century.
probably not if you didn't come from New Zealand or Australia.
Exactly. So society's information that we receive helps shape what we're seeing or what other people have seen. And so, but the concept stays the same, as Johnny just pointed out. Oblong snout, large ears. There's something to this, maybe.
Yeah. Well, my number 3 is going to be Thunderbird, and having Native American heritage and background, that's kind of
It's close to home.
close to home for me. I believe that dinosaurs were, I don't believe that they were millions of years ago. I believe dinosaurs and man walked the earth together. So that's with the thing with that possibly being a pterodactyl. That kind of also hits home with me. Hits close to home.
I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah. So Thunderbird is going to be my number 3, just for the lack of, or not lack, but for the sake of the fact that, I am partly Native American in some of my heritage, and the fact of I believe that is something that people have seen. They've seen pterodactyls or pterosaurs, whatever you want to call them now. I know the thing is the word dinosaur has only been around since like somewhere around the 1800s.
Yes.
So, we've only been calling things dinosaurs for a couple hundred years.
And you bringing up the Thunderbirds, think about the Aztecs and Quetzalcoatl, their god who was a flying serpent.
Think about how close that sounds to Quetzalcoatlus.
Yes, and it makes the possibilities very, very strong. Whether it's from the people, if they immigrated from the south, north, or it's just the common area, because it's flying cryptid. You got some range.
Think of the Inca stones.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the Inca stones, there's pictures drawn on there depicted of humans and what's more. I mean, it can't be anything other than a dinosaur.
Exactly.
So how did they know about that? And how did they know to draw that if they didn't have Google
If
to
they
look
didn't
up?
see it
Exactly.
or experience it.
Because they didn't have Google to look up back then. So
You know, you talk about dinosaurs. I'm just going to throw this in. Let's go to England, and you have your nightly orders, and they were talking about slaying fire-breathing dragons. What if they weren't fire-breathing, but brontosaurus, allosaurus?
well, but
The thoughts are there.
what does it say about the Leviathan in the Bible? It says that it breathed fire. So they could very well have been slaying fire-breathing dragons.
Exactly. The possibilities are there.
Cool. Johnny, what's number 2 for you?
Well, that'd have to be the skunk ape.
The skunk ape, the Florida skunk ape. So what's about that? What draws you in about the Florida skunk ape?
Well, I've seen one and literally 50 foot away. And then I had an uncle had an encounter, I think the same hunting season. And this man right here, nothing scares him ever. He came out of the woods white as sheet paper. So, yeah, there's a little something to it.
Cool. And, some people might like to say, well, Gugway, skunk ape, but, there could be completely different species of this, just like there's
People.
Yeah, just like there's Asian elephants and Indian elephants, just like there's Bengal tigers, Siberian tigers. Who's to say that there's not 3 or 4 different species of...
Well, if we look at the great apes and the chimps,
Exactly.
and the other offshoots of monkeys, very possible. There's
Yeah.
Until we can prove otherwise, you can't disprove.
I don't
anything.
personally believe that it's just Harry from Harry and the Hendersons running around on every single sighting. There's different types out there. Because if you think about it, and I think I've said this before, there's people who go in and they have great experiences, don't feel threatened in any way. And then there's people that say, I was lucky to get out of there with my lives. I think we talked about this one other show, with the Ape Canyon thing in Washington. It stands to reason that there's different, and that's another thing D.A. gets into his books, and that was one of the things that just drew me in about it. Was it's not just a Bigfoot story. It's there's a whole world of this.
A very
if you just
fine crafted world.
yeah,
I mean,
so, cool.
he puts out the characters, the critters that you're going to run into.
Mm-hmm.
You can find them if you do the research, because he's pulling in real cryptids.
Mm-hmm. He's done a lot of research into this to make it as real as possible, which that's what makes it good for me. All right, Norman, you're number 2.
All right, y'all heard of Lake Champlain, New York?
Yep, I know who you're going with this one.
Champ.
Champ from Lake Champlain.
America's Nessie.
Mm-hmm.
Been around since early Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
He patrols the lake, whatever you want to call it. And to keep him calm, every year the Indians would sacrifice a virgin in a canoe. Where have we heard that before?
Well, King Kong has one thing.
Dragons.
King.
Yep.
That's a kind of a common.
It's a common denominator.
Yeah.
Yep.
And-
Greek and Roman lore, they all did it.
Yeah.
Tribute.
Well, I mean, think about the old Clash of the Titans movie. I mean, yeah, that's how they were supposed to appease the Kraken was.
Sacrifice a virgin.
Yep.
So a lot of it, he or she is my second, because, like I say, everybody talks about land-based cryptids. I got to be the strange one. I want to talk a little bit about the flying one. I want to talk about America's Nessie.
It's your list. You put the list the way you want to. That's why we were all doing it separately, apart from each other.
Yeah, he or she, Champ as it's called, is a very popular figure in both folklore and for the people that live around Lake Champlain. And there's been some pictures. There's been a film I recall was made in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Gentleman got a 5-minute clip
I believe it's somewhere around there, 2-3 minutes, maybe 5, something like that.
It was on a home camera, back 35 millimeter, and you see a shape swimming through the water. No protuberances except like humps where it comes up and down. Very large. People have said it was possibly a large fish or a large eel, but that has been since debunked because they can't prove the fish lives in there. They can't say, well, there ain't no large eels in there. So it still leaves the mystery of Champ because it's rich in the Native American lore from around there.
All right. That's a good one. I can get with that one. And that is, it's not Loch Ness. It's something a little different than Loch Ness.
Yeah, I mean, it covers the Five Finger Lakes area. Mm-hmm. So it's not just in one area. I don't know how, to be honest, I don't recall how deep the lake is, but he or she is a well-rounded creature that is occasionally seen. You don't hear too much about it, but it's, to me, that would be the most fascinating one is Champ.
Cool. All right. Obviously, I went back and forth on 1 and 2 because I love both of these, but I'm going to have to put number 2 as Dogmen Werewolves. It's my favorite cryptid, but it's not number 1, and I'll get to why it's not number 1 when I get to my number 1. But I've watched every werewolf movie that you could probably think of.
Lon Chaney's the
yeah, and that's the thing too. When you start talking about the differences, there are so many differences in Hollywood werewolves as there are to Hollywood werewolves versus Dogmen. I mean, you talk about a deep rabbit hole that you can go down.
Yes.
Because what Lon Chaney would be technically a wolf man versus what you have in American Werewolf in London as a werewolf.
right.
It is such a deep dive if you start getting into that. And I've probably seen, if it's got a werewolf in it, I've probably seen it.
What was the name of that actor? Started Bonanza, the youngest.
Michael Landon. Yes,
Michael
he
Landon played the
yeah.
Wolfman.
I was a teenage werewolf.
Exactly. That was
See, I told you, I've seen every obscure werewolf movie there.
That is the most famous one I like, and it sticks with me to this day because I remember watching it.
My favorite werewolf movie is Silver Bullet with Gary Busey and Everett McGill, Corey Haim, based on Stephen King's.
That's one of the few book to movies where the movie was better than the book.
Yeah, book was okay. There were some things in the book.
Cycle of the Werewolf.
Yep, it was a novelette. If it had been a full-fledged book, if he'd have put more time into it and put more in it, but a novelette is pretty much, that's movie length as far as a book goes.
DA should have wrote it.
Yeah, DA could have done a lot better job.
He's probably just putting his finger out there to see what kind of reaction
Right.
you get.
But like Johnny said, the movie was great. I mean, there's so many quotable lines in it, but I've seen that movie probably no less than 500 times.
I've probably seen it twice, and now that you just mentioned it, I may have to get it again and just put it in my collection to watch because it was a very good movie.
Very good movie. All right, Johnny, number 1.
We got to go with Patty and her cousins.
All right,
I got a sister that lives in East Texas, butted up right against the Sam Houston Forest. And if you know about the East Texas critters, DA wrote about them.
Yep.
I've been hearing this for years. He hit on the nerve. I got to go to East Texas.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he does a lot of research. He doesn't just sit down in front of a screen and just start typing out words randomly. He's put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into everything that he does. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Norman, number 1.
It's Bigfoot. Because he's the most common and most popular.
Yep.
You've seen Harry and the Hendersons. You've seen Bigfoot exposés on Sci-Fi Channel, Discovery. He's the most popular one around, and I think he'd rank number 1 until somebody can prove me different.
Yep. And that's me too. I mean, had I not had my sighting with that, I don't know if I'd be sitting here having this conversation with you guys. I mean, he's got to be number 1 for that reason. Like I said, I'm not saying that 1 and 2, as far as favorites, are reversed for me.
Right.
But as far as importance, to what we do as cryptid researchers and investigators and podcasters, you got to go with Bigfoot because
he's going to be the reigning champ.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, it's not, we're not just pigeonholed to just,
we're open-minded to anything
Right.
and everything.
But that's what everybody comes for is the Bigfoot stories.
Exactly.
The other stuff is, icing on the cake.
Icing and cake.
So
Bigfoot is the thing people want to know about because he's the most popular, he's most mainstream. If he had his own reality show, he'd be ranking it in. Since he does have his own reality show, all the podcasters and YouTubers that get out there and
he
talk
pretty much
about it.
does, yeah. If he ever wants to collect royalties, we're all in trouble.
Definitely. But that's number one. I think Bigfoot will always be number one.
Yeah, I think, pretty much between the three of us, that's a consensus. I mean, most all Johnnies are just different, different species of that. So, I mean, it's what, dance with what brung you, and that's...
Definitely. Because I'll be honest, I never knew the other variants until I started reading DA's books.
So
I'm not trying to push him, but just he opened up my mind to a lot.
No, we are trying to push him. Huh? DA's a friend of the show, and we want people to read his books because,
Awesome author.
Yeah, great books. Wealth of information, wealth of knowledge, and just freaking entertaining.
Very.
I mean, it's the kind of books that you're not going to put down. You don't want to put them down. You want to keep reading. So go out there and check his books out.
I like the one character who's the Joker out of them all.
Margolin.
He's
Frank Margolin. Yes.
There's a surprise coming along for Frank Margolin that you'll see in the next book or two. That's all I can tell you from what I know.
So if y'all want to check his stuff out, darobertsauthor.net and look up his books. These are not paid advertisements by any shape, fashion, or form. DA is a friend of mine, and I do everything I can to push his books out there because they're great. If you like this kind of stuff and you read them, you'll love them. So
it's a very good series. Yeah. You can get very entwined into the characters. The research Doug does, he goes with modern technology, modern firearms. He puts a lot of work into these that I think everybody enjoy.
Yep. So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We just want to do a little fun episode this time. So, be looking for some more of our investigations and some different episodes. We got some guests lined up to come in. But as far as that goes, Johnny, you got anything?
Nothing but time.
Norman?
Not until the next time.
All right, guys. All right, we'll see you next time from the cabin. Thanks, guys.